back to the Mob Mentality Show. I'm Chris Lucian, and my co-host is Austin Chadwick. And today we have John Turner and Mike Clement to talk about the Mobber Exchange program that we had set up between our two companies. But before we get into that, maybe John and Mike, you can give us a little bit of an introduction for yourselves.
You want to go first, Mike?
Sure. So my name is Mike Clement. I am the director of engineering at a company called After School HQ, where we help kids to find their passion. We are, in terms of like my background with mobbing, like I got introduced to it many years ago, and it's where I actually first met Chris. It was very early in the hunter mobbing experience as well. But I was talking to Luan Falco, and he was like, you got to go check out what they're doing. There's like this, they're doing this like cool new thing. And I was like, okay. And I researched a little bit about it, and we started trying it out where I was working at the time. And then I was able to speak at the SoCal Code Camp, which was held in San Diego that year, and took an extra day ahead of time to go and actually sit with the mob and absorb what I could from what they were doing. And it was a really cool experience. So since then, I've been mobbing off and on, mostly on, for the last, I can't even count how many years, but at least like 8-ish. And it's been a great experience.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
Thank you. I'm John Turner. I've been doing software development for almost 20 years, which makes me feel really old. I started doing pair programming before I did mob programming, and started that almost 10 years ago now. And I did mobbing for a few years. And I think, pretty sure Mike and I worked at the same place when he went to go visit Hunter for the first time. And so he came back and he told us, he's like, they're doing this crazy stuff. We should try it out. And so that was pretty cool. We got to experiment with that for a little while. We kind of went back and forth between, or at least from my experience, we kind of went back and forth between pairing and mobbing for a little while. The last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years or something at that company. Then I was on a team that did mobbing almost exclusively. And the team that I'm on now, the company that I work at now, we do mobbing exclusively as well. And so, yeah, I'm a big fan. Been able to try to be an advocate, for mob programming when I think it can be a great way to work. I really enjoy it, and so, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think both John and I have done multiple presentations at conferences on mob programming. So again, both pretty excited about it, and excited about advocating for it as well, at least evangelizing it and helping people to be exposed to the idea. So super excited to be here.
Right on. Yeah, so I'm kind of like thinking about that first time that you and I met each other, Mike, and that might even, those sorts of visits that I think, what you would in general try and arrange for visits to happen. I think that was kind of the maybe natural predecessor to this developer exchange thing, because people would come and, check out how things worked. And then, I think gradually over time, there was this thought of, well, what if we did that in both ways, right? So I don't know, but...
Yeah. So based off of that experience at Immersion, where John and I were working together when we did the exchange program, we had started doing what we called guest mobbing, which is very similar to what y'all do in terms of like having visitors, very much inspired by that. And so we'd have people in for normally 2 to 4 hours, joining one of our teams, just kind of sliding into whatever work was happening. We would occasionally the teams would occasionally do a little bit of prep, like maybe like to make sure that what was being worked on that day was not like completely boring. But we didn't do a significant reordering of work in order to do that. But yeah, like again, there's a natural predecessor. I mean, Chris and I can't remember who proposed it, but it's like, well, maybe if we had, somebody just completely like go over to the other company for a full day and kind of get a whole experience, and kind of what would that look like, and figuring that out. And I know Austin, you and I kind of like worked out a lot of the details of that.
Nice. Yeah. And I think, the visitor program. So we both where we at and where you guys were had a visitor program. And for us, kind of the flow is, people from the outside world are interested in trying out mobbing, or like, oh, you can come visit with us. And we still have this program. And then we'll, the first half an hour, we'll do a tech check, get their tools up and working. And then we'll maybe do a little bit of demonstration of the different mobs and products. And then we throw them into a mob for a couple hours or the day. And that's been fun having people all around the world, especially since we went remote. That program changed a little bit. And we often get asked, why do you do this program? Like, what's the benefit? And I guess I'll ask that for you. Why did you guys have the visitor program? And maybe once that's established, we'll jump into the exchange program we did. Yeah. Sure.
I mean, I'd be interested in hearing what John thought of the benefits of it. But from my perspective, like I was the VP of engineering there. So it was kind of twofold. One was just as an opportunity to, like, again, share our love of mob programming and this idea of highly collaborative programming. And basically to, there are several people who offer opportunities to like do workshops or do it in a dojo setting at a meetup or something like that, which it's fun and it's a good opportunity to get exposed to the practice. But one of the questions that I would often get is, okay, well, what does this look like for real code, right? Like sure, really, it can work for this toy thing, but like, can it work for real, like a real product with, real personalities, high stakes decisions and things like that. And I was like, I mean, maybe not for everybody, but I've been doing this for, many, many years, and it's worked really well. So yeah, come and check it out and see how it works. So it was almost kind of like if people were like, prove it, I was like, okay, yeah, come, like I'll call your bluff. Come and try it out and see how it works. And so we would get a range of people, from people who were developers on teams that were looking for, like, had seen a presentation that maybe John or I or somebody else on the team had done, and we're like, oh yeah, let me go check it out. Like completely, maybe not even heard of mob programming ahead of that experience. To, we occasionally would get people who were like, we're experimenting with it and we're looking for opportunities to improve how they did it, or just looking to see how is somebody else doing it? Like, are there tips and tricks that I can pick up? And then we'd also get people who occasionally got people in management positions or non-coding positions that would just be like, I want to see how this actually works, to see if like I should even bring it to my team and see if like it's something that I could gently introduce that way. I mean, selfishly, I think the other component was we wanted to use it as a almost like a employer marketing opportunity, like employer branding. Like, hey, this is kind of, let's associate the brand of the company as an employer with mob programming, and like this is kind of the thing that we do, and it's something we value. And so, that way people that were interested in mob programming might be attracted to us. So like that was a component of it, but like, I mean, the reason why I really passionately did it was because of the wanting to share it with people.
Nice. How about for you, John?
Yeah, I agree with all the things that Mike said, but I think for me it really was the opportunity to share with people, because like we mentioned a few minutes ago, Mike and I are advocates of mob programming, or at least evangelists. I don't know what's quite what the right term is. Fans, let's say fans. And I think there's a lot of benefit there, but I've run into a lot of people who have had experiences like Mike mentioned, that, oh, how could this work in a real setting? And there can be, in a lot of organizations, for a lot of people, there can be, they're not in the type of place where they have the psychological safety and support to be able to do experiments and be like, hey, I heard about this crazy thing called mob programming. Let's try it out, see if it works for us, see what works, see what doesn't. Some people don't have the luxury of having that. And so providing a way for people to be able to do some of that experimentation and get some of that learning, like that was really important for me.
Nice. Yeah. And yeah, for us, and one thing that I've seen a lot is it turns out to be great learning for the team as well. Like, it has the benefits you guys mentioned, but the team that takes on the visitor, if the visitor's expert in something, then we end up learning a lot from the visitor. We've also, even if the visitor doesn't, maybe not have a lot of experience and know a lot, they ask a lot of questions. We're like, oh, that is a good question. It might lead to a discovery that we hadn't thought of. And it's also been a good, third-party feedback. Not everyone always answers our question. Where at the end we're like, hey, we love hearing fresh perspectives. You've seen our process. Do you have any feedback for us? But some people will really give feedback. And it's been good. I guess now turning to the exchange.
Go
ahead, Chris.
I'll chime in with one other thing.
Yeah.
Early on when we were first taking in the visitors, and I was a developer on the team that was being visited, one of the huge benefits was just explaining why what we're doing is effective over and over and over again. Because a lot of time we get the same question, and this was like a big reason why, as we grew the team, it was like I felt like it was important to keep it going. And at times we'd have like executive level people visit us, and so they were asking different types of questions. And so I think one of the things that really strengthened me as both a developer and eventually a leader of the team is that I had many opportunities to think of how I would explain what we're doing to different people, and especially for those that were maybe cynical about it. And so the opportunities that I think it affords for people to answer questions about what they're doing, like Austin says, is very like introspective in nature, but I think just saying, explaining why you're doing what you're doing is what you're doing is really important for everyone, and this is a really great opportunity to just get take a step back from doing the thing and then looking at like kind of the meta of it and really thinking about that. And I think it's developmental for anybody in that situation. It provides a level of critical thinking and other things like that. So I just thought that it was just a really great experience, and I just wanted to make sure that it continued on.
Yeah, I think they're even getting to explain it over and over again to different audiences that might have different concerns and might have different backgrounds and perspectives, like different, like you said, executives versus developers versus like anybody that's, in different roles like that provides a lot of benefit. One other thing I thought of, in addition to, all the things you guys have said have passed through my mind at one point in terms of like benefits around having guests, is this idea of, in a lot of the technical practices that we enjoy and practice, I think are around helping to keep our software soft, is how I kind of think about it. making sure that our software doesn't get rigid. But I think having, mob programming often, one of the benefits I think is that you keep your team practices and you keep a little bit more soft, a little more bit malleable, and having things in place that help to kind of poke at things, right? To keep it resilient, to kind of test the resilience of things. Having a guest come in that doesn't know anything, for a couple hours or a day, helps to see like it kind of probes and tests the processes of the team and kind of how do you deal with like interruptions and how resilient is the team to those types of changes. It kind of goes to the whole dynamic reteaming thing, which we don't necessarily need to get into deeper, but like that idea of like keeping the teams flexible in terms of their composition.
Yeah, that's awesome hearing about, kind of each of our respective visitor programs. And, what you're saying, Mike, makes me think of Chris. I like to think of Chris as a chaos monkey for teams. Now I feel like he's going to be like, oh, let's have a visitor every day, every other hour, just bring in new visitors and see how resilient the teams are.
That's actually what I wanted, but the team retrospected against it. So I'm more for self-organizing teams than, the whole chaos monkey of that. But yeah, I do like to throw something new in every once in a while.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like John mentioned, as a precursor to mobbing, we were working together and doing full-time pairing. And we adopted Arlo Belshy's like promiscuous pairing kind of ethos, I guess. And so we called it persistent promiscuous pair programming. It's what we were doing, and made sure we were changing up. We didn't ever quite go as low as Arlo did, but we did make sure that we were changing pairs at least daily. So
nice. Right on. Well, this would be a good transition to maybe the main topic. So, we had a visiting program, you had a visiting program. I think what happened was I was signing up for your visiting program and I started to ask, hey, who else is interested in visiting? And we got a large number. And then I think I reached out to you and said, hey, we have this many people want to visit. And then I think we just said like, oh, why don't we just do, I think, what do we land with? 2 every month. So right. It's like 2 weeks out of the month, one person from our team would go to immersion, then one from immersion would come to us for a full day. And so we had, I think we did, I was just looking at the numbers. It was about 6 months. So what is that? 12 exchanges with people basically. Yeah.
I think we took off at least 1 month in there where you had other visitors, but yeah, it was like 8 to 10 people.
Yeah.
Well, there was a really cool effect of this. So, I tried to set up something like this like a few times, right? But none of the other companies had a similar program to ours, and so they had never kind of like already figured out how to take in a visitor, right. themselves, right? And so, this one just kind of happened naturally and through serendipity, where every time we tried to like make it happen in the past, it always just seemed to kind of like fall apart. So there was something to be said there about having practice at having a visitor to make a kind of a regular exchange work well and flow easily. So it was a really interesting thing that until there was kind of that mutual understanding of what it means to bring somebody in, sign an NDA and all that other stuff. It worked out really good. So.
One of the benefits of that for us is, mob programming is not the most common practice in our industry. And so we actually have it explicitly as part of our hiring process right now. It's kind of an experiment. I don't know if we'll keep it or what, but in the interview process, part of it is, do the people at the company want to hire that person? But also part of the experience is, does that person want to work at that company, right? And because mob programming is a practice that, you know, not as many developers have had the opportunity to work that way. We felt that it was only fair if we give our interviewees an opportunity to work that way, at least for a little while, you know, to kind of give it an idea of it. And having all that practice with visitors coming to the team all the time, and I was like, oh yeah, we totally know how to have some random person come and join us on the mob for a couple hours or a day or something like that. It's and so in our interview process, that's been a, you know, an easy transition to make.
Can you imagine thinking that you're going to go into solo development and interviewing at a company one-on-one, like no indication that they're mobbing full time, and then joining the team and being like, wait, what did I sign up for? Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. Yeah. So I think, did you both actually do the exchange? I know you did, John, right? Is that right?
Yeah, I did.
Did you get to do it, Mike, or were you just more kind of the
Yeah, I never got the opportunity to do it.
my you know, to be fair, Mike did visit you know, maybe 8 years before. So
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So how was your experience, John? Like, so you joined a team for the day. I know it's going back a while because this happened a while ago, but
yeah, it was a little while ago, but
yeah. What was your experience like?
It was really good. The one bad thing about it was completely out of your control, and that was that I had gotten my second COVID shot the day before, and on the first shot I didn't have any reactions or anything, but on this one I did. And so I had a fever all day, but I'm like, no, I gotta, today's my day to do it. And so I toughed it out for most of the day. I did have to leave, you know, like an hour later. I'm like, I'm sorry guys, I gotta go lay down. I gotta go sleep. But other than that, it was a really good experience. It was really, you know, pretty seamless to be able to join a group of people who I didn't know, working on a thing that I didn't know anything about. And, you know, I probably didn't contribute the most out of the whole group, but I did make some contributions, I think. Hopefully the rest of everyone else felt like I made some contributions too. But it was kind of, you know, it was interesting to see how low friction it could be. I mean, I don't know if everyone's experience is that way, but for me, it was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go hang out with these people who I just met, and we're gonna write some code together, and it's gonna be great.
Nice. Yeah, and I guess from your perspective, Mike, I don't know if you interacted with people as they were going in and out of the exchange program. Did you see any reactions there or effects?
Yeah. So we had a Slack channel for people to kind of do a quick report when they would come back, just like, what did they observe? How did it go? Like, is there anything that we want to experiment with that they observed as part of visiting? You know, and then we also, like you'd mentioned before, we captured feedback from the folks that were visiting us to just kind of make sure that we understood, hey, what is it we could improve about the experience? And going back to Chris's point, right, both sides having a lot of experience in terms of onboarding people, you know, even beyond like the pre-work of NDA and all that, but like just the experience of having somebody join, especially in a remote scenario. Like, it is a lot easier to just kind of walk in when you're in person mobbing. But, you know, having, you know, instructions and stuff to have, hey, here's what you need to have set up ahead of time or not, right? Again, depending on the experience. But I mean, in terms of like reports back, you know, there would be occasionally be like, oh, they did this. I didn't really like it, but it was interesting. It was good to experience it. Again, a lot of it, I think it was good in that way. Also, though, that in giving people experiences in different mobbing environments, that mobbing isn't like a monolithic enterprise, that it has to be the same way everywhere and in every situation. And that, you know, in the case of where we were at, you know, Immersion, like we had kind of our own styles that had developed around it. And even you'd look at between the multiple teams that we had, And I'm sure the same thing, I think I heard the same types of things coming back from people that when they would go to different teams, they'd be like, oh, this team did this. Like, that's not what this other person said. Oh yeah, they mobbed with a different team for the day. And just, again, exploring that diversity, I think was probably the most beneficial thing to our developers, like just exploring that, like different ideas.
And I'll turn it on you, Chris, because you did one visit, right? Didn't you?
Yeah, I did. And yeah, that was, I mean, it's just really great to go and see another environment where mobbing evolved in a different way. And so, yeah, just comparing and contrasting those small details was just super valuable. And it's just, you know, it's fuel for future retrospectives, and it's, you know, ways that, you know, and I think just like in general, you know, kind of like mastermind groups or, you know, that sort of thing, like it provides almost the same effect. It's like, oh, you do the same thing I do, but slightly differently. And it's like, why do you do it that way? And then you kind of elaborate on your understanding of the practice, and it's just super helpful. You know, so in my experience, it was, you know, a lot of technologies I was familiar with that, you know, and it was, you know, kind of, you can just hit the ground running, and even though you don't know the domain or anything along those lines, you just kind of, you know, just get ingrained in it, and all of this, you walk away with a bunch of new friends, you know, that sort of thing. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, just very natural, flowing. And so, you know, for the last, you know, 10 years or so, like I've been on the receiving end of being part of visiting many times. And so this is kind of the first time, like I was able to go and visit another group doing this. And it was just a really cool experience. You know, and then also as far as like people coming back with reports of, you know, oh, they did, like I saw a lot of just conversation sparked around those small differences. And, you know, I think it feeds into the virtuous loop that I talk about a lot, where it's like, you know, you're going to retrospect to your ceiling, right, until your knowledge increases. And so that's where you have to learn. And so with mobbing, it's like such a new practice that there's not as much material out there as you'd find for something as, you know, well defined as like Kanban or XP or something like that. And so one of the ways to get new knowledge is to visit other people who have discovered other ways to do things. And now that ceiling is removed, and now you can increase your ability to grow.
It's nice. Yeah. And I guess I'll share for me real quick was because I think our team ended up hosting probably a third, half of the visitors from y'all. And that was fun. And then I got to do visit day myself. And what I just remember is when we took people in was, wow, just what fantastic, you know, fun, intelligent people. Like everyone who came had great insights into, and, you know, put benefits into the code that are still paying off today. So yeah, thank you for that. And I remember when I joined, it was fun because, you know, I really got to feel the culture, and there was a lot of similarities, some differences as Chris talked about, but like, you know, I got the feeling that people were playing board games at lunch together, and, you know, and there was a book club that I got to be a part of. And so kind of got to see kind of those discussions. And yeah, it was surprising how similar some of the practices were with like TDD and some of the tech stacks. It was almost like, oh, I feel like it's just another day at work, but a slightly different, you know, just a different domain, but everything else almost felt the same. And that was really fun, and got to learn about some different thoughts on different styles of TDD. And yeah, overall it was just a really good time. And I guess maybe any final closing thoughts on that topic, maybe jumping into what's exciting in development for you lately.
Maybe just like, so I didn't get a chance to do it this round, but like Chris mentioned, I got to visit his mob many years ago. I remember one specific experience that I had. You know, I was there, I was observing, I you know, took my turn at the keyboard. And after maybe 2 rounds, like, I was like, I don't quite understand this. Like, or I think I had an idea and I was trying to express it. And And it was this moment where somebody else was like in the navigator role, and he just basically said, hey, why don't you navigate it? Don't try to explain it. Like, just get it, like navigate the driver so that we get it into the code. And then, so I started to do that. And then within like 2 or 3 minutes, he was like, oh, I see it now. Right. Like, it was something that it was this moment of clarity where, like, oftentimes we think we need to communicate it verbally before we can put it in the code. But one of the things that's kind of cool is that if we get it into the code, and if we're working in small enough chunks, then we can see, hey, the code can help us communicate because it's a kind of a common language that we have. That was one of the experiences that I had while I was there that just like has really stuck with me and has influenced how I try to coach people when they're mob programming. It's like, just get in the code and see.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, I like that. Chris's comments made me think of a thing. One more thing that I really appreciated about the exchange program is, unfortunately in our industry, it's kind of a stereotype to be like, there's the lone developer who goes off into a cubicle and codes by themselves all day and never interacts with anybody. And obviously mob programming is kind of contrary to that stereotype. But even more so, one of the things that I really appreciate about the exchange program, which I wish we had more of in our industry, was this idea of let's get together and talk about ideas and share things, share what works for you, we'll share what works for us. I really wish we had more of that in our industry. Occasionally you hear about somebody going and doing a journeyman project or something where they go around to a bunch of different companies for a summer or a year or something, which is really cool. But I think that kind of sharing experience is really, again, I wish it was something we had more of in our industry.
Cool. Well, maybe before we get to the end of the show here, maybe each of you can throw in your soundbite for. Did I get this right, John? What's exciting in development for you now? Or
yeah. I respect both of you guys, and Mike too, of course. And you guys get to talk with a lot of interesting people who I maybe don't get to talk to. What's exciting in software development for you these days? Where you're like, oh, this makes me excited in the morning, or this is the thing that I'm looking forward to in 6 months or a year. This is going to make software development even more awesome than it already is.
Got something, Chris?
I mean, I'm always thinking about new stuff. I've been doing a lot of thinking around like machine learning related stuff and stochastic gradient descent and saliency techniques. So like that's all consuming like one big part of my brain. And what does it look like to mob stuff like that? And then other side of it, just all the different infrastructure as code sort of technologies out there and growing those things. And then, just, I guess, more around mob programming and things like that too. So, but yeah, I'm always really interested in expanding the horizons, I guess.
Cool.
Yeah, I think what thought came to mind was I remember I went to work with a friend of mine, and she was pretty involved in the Agile community, like since it was XP and since it was like object-oriented programming, and I was like, well, I'm excited to come work with you because like I want to see how you do it, and then I want to see what's next, right? And it was kind of cool that like eventually, we got to work together, and she didn't necessarily participate in the mobbing. She was there when we were mobbing, and participated in some of it, and so that's the past tense story that I thought of thinking about what the future holds. I think in terms of technologies, like I'm excited about like functional programming and like serverless and like kind of along those lines and kind of getting computing more as a service. Although like, as I was thinking about it, like my mind went like towards like, I'm mostly interested in like better refactoring techniques, like, and like rehabilitating things that are already there, and, you know, figuring out new ways to test and, you know, more effectively do that. So anyway, that's kind of where my interests lie.
Nice. Yeah. And I guess I'll share and then I'll turn it back on you, John. But yeah, for me, yeah, the refactoring, I love refactoring. And to me, the fuel to good refactoring is fast feedback. And so I think the longer I've been mobbing, the more and more and more spoiled I've been with feedback. And like, I am very I have this like I can't take it when feedback is slow, whether it's like from a person or from tests. Like if it's test is slow, like I don't even want to look at it. I just want to throw it away, you know? And so, so for me, it's just been like turning up that dial as high as you can go for fast tests, fast feedback, all that kind of stuff. Has been an interest lately. I think this show, what we're talking about today, has been an interest lately too. I started a document on all the different mobbing styles I've seen, you know, at your place or at our place, all the different ways people mob. And so I've been trying to document that. I've been reading some leadership books and also kind of like classical books on how people interact well together, going back to ancient times and things. And it's just been fascinating to me to see that how a lot of that stuff comes for free with mobbing, you know? So like, you know, it's really hard to have the 5 dysfunctions of a team that author talks about when you're mobbing well, like those just kind of go away. And then also turning up the dial on collective product thinking, as opposed to giving that to one person to do, and then we just get tasks from that person. So that's kind of where I've been at lately. How about you, John?
Well, I could take the easy answer and just be like, oh yeah, everything that you guys said, that's all awesome. I'll take that. I'll take all of that. No, I think I'm really into like static websites right now and vanilla JS and stuff like that. Nice. I don't know if that's a cool thing going forward or not, but that makes me excited right now. The serverless kind of stuff, that sort of thing. I really like the idea of Austin, your collective product thinking comment made me think of you know, working more collaboratively, both within a team and even outside of the team. Finding ways to do that. That's been a thing that's been on my mind.
We've been expanding the definition of what a team is beyond like a core development team and kind of what that community looks like. Yeah.
And how doing that can provide more. If we do that better, does that provide more value for our customers? I think the answer is yes, but you know, actually doing it, figuring out how to do it better, and then finding ways to measure, are we actually providing more value for our customers?
Nice.
Yeah, probably one non-technical thing that I've been really interested in has been wordly mapping and kind of understanding that better and practicing that. And so that was another thing that popped in my head, is something I've been learning more about, practicing more, and hoping to share more.
Nice. Right on. Well, cool. We are coming up on time, but this has been fantastic. Thank you both for being on the show. Before we close out, is there anything you'd like to share or plug? So I'll turn it to you first, John.
Maybe I'll steal this from Mike. I don't know. Maybe Mike will come up with a different thing. But if I get to go first, then I get to steal it, right? So Mike and I recently, I don't know, the last couple months, we've started a YouTube channel where we post short, well, okay, they're not short, I was going to say short, videos of ourselves doing pair programming and TDD. We were at a meetup together and we paired on something and we're like, oh, hey, this is really fun. I wonder if other people would find this valuable. And so we're like, we should record some videos and see if people find them valuable. So that's been a really fun thing. I'm sure we can put the link in the show notes or whatever. But anyway, that's the thing that I was
like with that, like specifically, I remember we came out of that, like pairing together at the meetup, and somebody was like, "Oh, I wish I was a fly on the wall for that pairing session."
Yeah.
I was like, "Huh? Well, we could make that happen." Anyway.
So I think that was all I had for it. I don't know. Was there anything else you want to add for that, Mike?
No, it's been fun. We need to get more of the stuff produced.
Yeah.
For me, I'll plug Utah SC, Utah Software Crafters Group, which is the meetup that John and I were at when we did that. It is online right now, so available to anybody anywhere that wants to join at 6 p.m. Mountain on the first Wednesday. And if a different time zone is more interesting or
works better with your schedule.
Works better with your calendar. 6 p.m. Mountain on the first Thursday of the month, you can join the Atlanta Software Crafters Atlanta group, which I help facilitate. And it's an opportunity to, I would say the two groups are sister groups in as much as I helped found both of them. And so they run very similarly still, even though I haven't been actively involved in the organization of Utah SC for several years now. But the basic format is we have an opening circle. We do 0 to 3 lightning talks. We have a short, like a half-hour reading discussion. Then we spend a solid hour on a programming exercise. We kind of usually allow people to decide whether or not they want to work solo in a pair or in a mob. So it is a way for people to get experience mob programming in a less high stakes environment.
Nice. Right on. Well, thank you both for sharing those items. And to our audience, please like and subscribe. Please hit the notification bell to keep getting content. And we love your comments and feedback on YouTube, Twitter, and more. And until next time, first, huge thanks to John and Mike. And until next time, mob well, everyone, and have a good one. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Austin, Chris.